Hello people of the earth and welcome back to QuickSaveTV. My name is Mike and this is Knock on the Coffin Lid, a game from a Russian video games developer, and it has been published just under a month ago under the banner of the early access. I have been given the city key for free to review the game, and in a couple of minutes I will be able to conclusively tell you whether or not you should support the developer and buy the game or wait for the project to age a little bit. It has a fantastic art style, but I know little else about the game. Let's hope we enjoy it.
Hello, I am back. I have a party behind me, but let's go and talk about the game. The game is unbelievably good. Shockingly, right? I didn't expect that. I half expected to just like the graphical appeal of the game, and that's it. And after listening to the music, after experiencing a little bit of the story, after experiencing some of the events that you will be seeing in the game, I can conclusively say that if the developers fix all of the mistakes, all of the errors, all of the issues, all of the bugs, and balance out the game is going to be a fantastic true successor to Slay the Spire. Much like Griftlands is, the Griftlands is a great successor to Slay the Spire. This is an alternative version, closer to Slay the Spire in spirit, very similar, and but it does everything better. Essentially everything Slay the Spire does, it gets right. It takes everything good about Slay the Spire and makes it better. Let's talk about it one step at a time. So, it's a Russian video game, which is, on its own, if you don't know anything about the game industry in Russia, it's not bad or good, it's nothing, But if you do know the games Marauder, 762, E5, Brigade E5, you are beginning to understand that maybe it's a bad thing, because a lot of the Russian games are flops. They're real flops. They have fantastic potential, and they always flop. They flop in such a dramatic fashion too, because they hype you up about the game. Oh, it's so fantastic, it's gonna be so fun, and they suck ass completely. But with a rare exception of Stalker, for example, or Tarkov, right? And I mean, if you consider Stalker the Russian game. Metro, it's not a Russian game, it's inspired by a Russian novel. Some Russian games are really good, or at least very intriguing, like Tarkov. Now, so this game is joining one of these games. It is very intriguing and it is very good. So, it is crazy beautiful. It is crazy beautiful. It has a fantastic art style. It's a 2D art style with animations added to it. There are no 3D, real 3D elements, much like in Griftlands. And it visually displays every piece of equipment that you get on your character. Every shield, every sword, every piece of armor, every helmet, and it looks unbelievably cool, right? Not every asset is finished so far, so not every helmet, not every shield is visible, but so far what it shows us is absolutely incredible. It's really cool. Now, it has unique design. So, unlike Slay the Spire, which in my opinion didn't have a great world building, didn't have a great plot, this one has. It has amazing Slavic folklore married with dwarves and elves, but not the classic that you see, not like you see them in Dragon Age, for example, not how you see the elves in The Lord of the Rings. No, they're very far away. Elves here are very dark, very vengeful, and even their appearance screams vengefulness. Even the way they look at you, the way they talk, the way they communicate makes a very good impression, and it is not trivial. It is very cool, very interesting, but they're still elves, right? They use the dodging techniques, they use the strength of the forest to empower them, they rely on strengths of werewolves and things like this, and this makes the lore of the game, or at least the world of the game, incredibly appealing, incredibly interesting. Next, the Slavic folklore. Of course, you have a lot of interesting, cool things. Remember The Witcher? Well, this one feels a little more Eastern, so it's really cool. It was really cool to see Western Slavic folklore in The Witcher, and this one is going to be a little bit more Eastern. There are a lot of cool things, but I didn't experience a lot of them. I saw them in the trailer. It was really cool to see them. So things like hags, things like the role of the fairy tales and the lore of teaching lessons, right? It is very well communicated, and I think it would be appealing not only to me as a Russian guy, right, to a lot of people who will be experiencing this game, because this game is incredible. Next, it has, yeah, I think I've mentioned, also, I did not know they were elves before the game told me, which I think is a really good thing. It's like, for me, it's the shed test that elves have to pass. If I can tell that they are elves, okay, something is going wrong. Okay, we have, okay, Lord of the Rings all over again. And I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of that. But here, it was very difficult to understand that they were elves because they're just not stereotypical at all. Dwarves were really fun. Goofy, drunk, strong, and defiant, which I would describe them. Now, the genre okay, so this game is a lot like Slay the Spire, as I said before, but everything it does better, in my opinion. It has a more coherent world. There are no absurd and abstract enemies that came there out of nowhere. It has a very interesting... It has a lot of very interesting design choices and elements that make the world come together. Like, for example, the map here feels alive. In Slay the Spire, the map was abstract. It was an abstraction that was randomly generated. And it worked just fine for the game. But here, the map is an actual location, right? And the map is, again, randomly generated. But the map is no longer an abstraction. It is a living, breathing world. And you're trying to make your way through it. And it is really, really interesting. Because some of the events I kept encountering at the same spots, and it was very strange because I think it is by design. Certain things you can encounter at exactly the same spots, but a lot of the world is still randomly generated. I hope I got it correctly, but it made a really good impression on me. Next, death in this game is canon. In a way, in Slay the Spire, death was also canon, right? Which was really cool. And a lot of the Slay the Spire clones get this really wrong, right? In a lot of these games, when you die, it takes the perspective of just every other game on the market is, yeah, you should just try again. In this game, death is a canonical outcome, and your master, the one who resurrected you, tells you that this is one of the possible outcomes. Now try again, and he gives you an advice and sends you off your way. And the game, it is so ingrained in the game that you can even restart the game without leaving to the main menu. You don't have to do any of that, you just restart the game and go on your merry way. Next, storytelling in this game was really fun because this master that resurrected you talks to you, and he participates in talking about discussing your choices, whether good or bad. He criticizes you, or he praises your carefulness, or he tells his opinion, which is really, really cool. It's not well implemented yet because of a lot of bugs, and not every dialogue in the game is written yet, but it's still a really valiant effort, and writing is pretty damn good. Equipment, as I said before, it's fantastic. It looks really cool. A lot of swords, axes, maces, shields, helmets, sandals and footwear, all kinds of things, and all drawn on your character when you equip it. And then great unique cards. So this game doesn't beat around the bush, and it takes a lot of the basic cards straight out of Slay the Spire. It just takes them from there. It's obvious where the inspiration is from. It doesn't make any effort to conceal it, and that's alright, because the unique cards are very interesting and very cool and very unusual. But how effective they are, time will tell, because some of the coolest cards are completely useless in the first stage of the map. So yeah, very interesting. In terms of, I've covered everything about the game, and one thing I haven't mentioned, music is amazing. Both the art style and the music of the game are completely unbelievable. I'm a big fan of them. And yeah, so about the negatives of the game. One thing I did not like at all was how unbalanced the game feels. When you start the game, of course there's a difference when you play better and when you play worse. I do fully realize that. But some of the enemy combinations, including the spam of dodge ability, are not very fun to deal with, even when you are seemingly geared to deal with them. And I think it has to be tuned down a little bit. I think it's overdoing it too much. And some of the combinations I thought were very clever, but again, they feel way too strong. And some combinations feel way too weak. The game's been in early access for 1 month, so I expect this to fully change, and if they manage to change it, the game is going to be amazing. Now, another problem I find is that, it's not finished, obviously. It is still very raw. So if you buy the game right now, you're taking a major risk, because we have no idea if it will be finished or not. We really don't have any guarantees. But I have to say that so far the dynamic, because in a month it seems like they haven't done anything. But in their defense, there were a lot of Russian holidays, so maybe they were just taking a break. But look. Judging from what I saw so far, I think the game is going to get finished, and I think it's going to be a fantastic addition to anyone's library. Especially people who are fans of Slay the Spire. I think this game is absolutely fantastic. I am completely charmed by it, and I will be playing it again 100%. And I really want it to succeed. So I would urge you, if you can, to go ahead and support it, because I think they will finish it. I think it will be a fantastic game. Because what I saw so far tells me exactly that. The attention to detail, the attention to writing is fantastic. The attention to great many things just made me completely enamored with the game, and I really hope it succeeds. So yeah, this has been my full, unadulterated, I hope it's the word, opinion about god damn it, what's the name of the game? It has some really cool name. Knock on the Coffin, I think it's called. Knock on the Coffin. Knock on the Coffin Lid. Yeah, it's a very unusual game, and I think it is absolutely worth your time. You should go ahead and take a look at it, and yeah, if possible, you should purchase it. Have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time, hopefully tomorrow.